welcome to the next exciting episode of World Bigfoot Radio. And speaking of excitement, you can never tell what's going to happen next in this chaotic world we live in. And with my primary platform being on YouTube, that doesn't give me a whole lot of hope. So if you really like this show and you want to make sure that you are going to continue to see it in the future, you might want to hedge your bets and go on over and sign up on BitChute, BITCHUTE, Bright Eon, BRIGHTEON, or library.com, LBRY.com. Library has my entire catalog over there, and they're a great platform. BitChute has a bunch of it, and Bright Eon's just starting to get some. But definitely, so get on over there, join up, become part of the group, hedge your bets, make sure that you're going to be able to get these programs in the future in case YouTube decides to do something screwy, which they do constantly and consistently. Next thing is, there's also groups available on social media. You should get over to Facebook. My primary group over there is Montana Bigfoot Project. I've got some really awesome admins over there. A lot of them have actually been on my show as guests. They're also researchers. They turn out their own videos, but they're still kind enough to go do admin stuff over there, post things, and interact with you. So there's a good option. If you hate Facebook, like I do, you can always come on over to MeWe, MEWE, the alternate platform to those jerks where there is no censorship, no data mining, and nobody telling you what you can and can't say. So with that out of the way, and by the way, on MeWe, it's World Bigfoot Central. Sunny blue sky Montana here at the very end of September, and we're still getting wonderful weather. 75 gorgeous degrees. Woohoo. Really interesting guest and really interesting subject to talk about today. And so you would know this guest. You've show a few times before, including episode 100. But welcome back to the show, Robin McCray. All righty, well, let's get down to it here. There's been some recent hullabaloo in the Bigfoot community about someone running into some weird cloaked things in a swamp down in Florida somewhere. And since we have more information on this subject, I thought it would be appropriate to get you on to talk about what you know about the subject. And so with that, you've got the floor. Take it away, Robin.
Okay. First of all, I want to start out by saying I have not talked to the gentleman that happened with. Okay. So I would never come forward and speak for him or say anything about that. I will say I did watch most of that video. I felt that he was 100% legitimate and truthful. My heart went out to him because he really, really went through a lot. A couple things. I mean, everybody that knows me knows I mind speak. I always have. You know, there was a Bigfoot there that day that was hiding. It was a female. And, you know, I think she's the one that actually, you know, I thought at one point he had said the bonfire, it was almost like it exploded as a distraction or whatever. And she's the reason why she did it. She's also the one that told him to run. Now, as far as, you know, what happened to him, it's happening all over the place. It's not just him. And it's scary and it's dangerous. And people are terrified to go in the woods. I mean, not everybody, but there's a large quantity of people that don't want to go in the woods anymore. I don't blame them. But the first thing you need to know is a lot of this stuff is assumed to automatically be the Bigfoot. And that isn't the way this works. All of these things, the cryptids, anything paranormal, the ETs, whatever, they have the ability to shapeshift. They have the ability to change what they look like, even if it's only in your mind. Now, from what I've been able to deduce, and I've worked with several people that have encountered these things, I was not surprised by what that gentleman spoke about. And again, I have not spoken to him. I would not presume to, you know, contradict anything he said because I thought he seemed very truthful and legitimate to me. My heart went out to him. I really did. But I've talked with other people that have gone through similar situations with these. They all of these beings all have the same type of an energy field. Most people that know anything about the Bigfoots know that they radiate a certain energy. So do all the cryptids. So do all the ETs. It's almost like a handprint or a signature. All of the ones that are having this done to them have that energy signature, and they're all the same. It is not a Bigfoot. I know people think it is, and I'm sorry for that. It's not a Bigfoot. Bigfoots do not take possession. Okay. Bigfoots do not ask your permission to do harm to you. That's just not what they do. I mean, most of them, you're going to find there's good and bad. They're not all nice. They're not all bad, but they're not all nice. And the bad ones don't care if they have permission from you. That's why they're bad. Now, there are certain ETs that will, okay? Bigfoots do not ask your permission to do harm to you. That's just not what they do. I mean, most of them, you're going to find there's good and bad. They're not all nice. They're not all bad, but they're not all nice. And the bad ones don't care if they have permission from you. That's why they're bad. Now, there are certain ETs that will, okay? A lot of them that are bad don't, because that's why they're bad. They don't care what your permission, if they have permission, they don't care about your free will. They only care about their agendas. But then you have certain groups that for whatever reason do care. And this particular one, and I've talked to other researchers as well that are very intelligent people, they know what's going on, and we've all agreed on the same thing. I'm not going to use names because that's not, I don't do that to people. But these are basically a lower being scavenger. They prey on people because they use mind control. And they have to, in order to hurt you, they have to have your permission. And they will trick you into getting your permission. You know, they will ask you something where you very calmly say, sure, you know, and you're not realizing that what you're giving them is full permission to do what they want to you. They play with your head. They get inside your mind. They create that feeling of terror that you have. They'll come up to you and, you know, tell you flat out, I'm going to kill you, or I'm going to do this to you, or I'm going to do that to you, just to put the fear in you. And we are stronger than they are. You can stop them. I've come up against them. I know people that have. I've worked with people that have and tried to help them deal with it. And it's terrifying. There's no doubt about it. I mean, I would never say it's not. You fear for your life, but you do have the ability to survive it. And a very good friend of mine recently went through that as well. And as I told him, you know what, this is mind control and you are stronger than this. You can do this, but you have to understand that they're waiting for you to give them permission to do this damage to you. And they will trick you into saying yes. So be very careful with your words. Be careful what you agree to. You know, we have different situations where people think that they're dealing with Bigfoots and they ask, you know, they tell them, well, give us permission to lay hands on you, or give us permission to talk to you and do this. And people think that they're saying yes to the Bigfoots. They're not. And then they get these things attached to them. I know a gentleman, I've worked with this guy for 2.5 years. And he has thought for 2.5 years that they were Bigfoot. And I'm like, no, they're not. And I get rid of them. I help them get rid of them. As soon as I do, it's a matter of time before somebody convinces him that it's a Bigfoot and he lets them back in again. And they have literally destroyed his life. His health is gone because his nerves are so bad, it's created other health issues. He thinks he's going to die.
So
and it's because
I know, you know, let me interject here for a second. Sorry to interrupt. I know you know a few other people that have also dealing with these scavengers, and you probably have a group consensus at this point. What are these things? Where do they come from?
These are, as far as I'm concerned, like I said, I don't ever speak for anybody else because I don't think that's right. They are from off planet and they're here now and they've set up shop here. One of the people that I work with, they told him that they were now living underground and that they were going to come out and we would know what fear was. And they're here. There's thousands of them. It's not like there's one or two, but they don't belong here. This isn't their place. This isn't their planet. It's ours. And this is a type of a mental warfare.
Scavengers are invaders too.
Yeah. I mean, this is mental warfare. They don't have the power that they try to project, is a general census from the people that I've spoken with, the people that I associate with and I've talked to and worked with. They don't have the power that they keep trying to make everybody think that they have. What they have is the ability to manipulate you in your mind. And that is terrifying. When I saw that poor gentleman out of, I think it was Florida, talk and recount what went on with him, my heart went out for him. It really did. Like, he is 100% legitimate. He needs as much support from everybody as he can possibly get. I would never say anything bad about him. I felt so bad for him. And what he endured, nobody should have to go through. And people need to be aware that these things are out there. There are all kinds of cryptids on this planet. That doesn't mean they're all out there and going to kill you. Okay. But we also have ETs on this planet. We've had ETs on these planets for hundreds and thousands of years. This particular batch that's now here has no intention of leaving anytime soon. I mean, what the technical term for them is, I'm not even going to project that in, because there's very different opinions on what they're called. And there's no reason to go there. The only thing that matters is that they're here. The background on it doesn't have anything to do with anything.
Right.
They are here and they have to be dealt with. And people need to know, as terrifying as they are, and I know how terrifying they are firsthand, but you do have the power with this particular group to stop them. Watch what you say. Watch what you're giving permission to. This is a dangerous time. You know, I'm not trying to terrify people. I'm not trying to scare people. I'm trying to say, people, be smart. You know, I mean, I can talk about what I know, what I've witnessed, what I've experienced. I don't know it all. I'm not an expert, never claimed to be, never will, because I don't believe there's an expert in this field. But I do know what I've worked with. I know the people I've worked with. I know what I've seen. I know the energy that I've felt. And they all, in this particular case, these beings are all the same group. And there's a lot of them. And they survive on the negative fear that they create within people. It's like a buffet. Dark energy draws darker things. And when you are fearful, when you are depressed, which we all get from time to time, and that's okay. But when you stay like that, it makes it worse. Now, in that gentleman's case, I don't think that had anything to do with it. I think he was in the wrong place at the wrong time. And they thought they could take advantage of that, and they tried to. And thank God he's okay. He might mentally still be shaken, but at least he's physically still alive to talk. And the people that I've talked to and the people I've tried to help, thank God, are as well.
Now,
But
that brings me a question from me, and that was, what percentage of what they were telling Mark was actually accurate and what was not? And like some things they were alluding to, like they had killed Tim Pisano, and basically they sort of like predate on people like a hunter chasing a deer around the woods or something.
Oh yeah, they're gonna.
And then when you're dead, then they have a big celebration. Yay, I got the prey. Yeah, like the predators in the movies do. But anyway, for the purposes of the conversation, we will refer to them as scavengers.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know what else to call them.
So we'll just call them scavengers.
Yeah, I think
But the question here then is, it seems like what they're really doing is, victim, they wear them down mentally, and basically try and get them to commit suicide, and that's the point where they win. Yeah. So don't play their game.
Right now, and I could be wrong on this because I didn't watch the whole video, because once I started watching it, I had Bigfoot in my head going, turn it off, turn it off, turn it off. I don't want them to track you, because they were concerned that if I watched the video, these things would track me. I did watch part of it. I heard, where he had gone into the cabin and they wanted him to let him cross the threshold. Again, don't quote me on any of it, but I mean, that's what I had seen. They will do that. A lot of your ETs, and I've had to deal with ETs since I was 4 years old. My first abduction, I was 4. And this is the only ones that I've come across, and I know there are others, that require permission. I mean, it's
like
just
vampires.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling to me. But they word things like with the one gentleman that I told you, they've tormented him now for 2.5 years. And he thought he was giving permission to a Bigfoot. Can we communicate with you? Can we have contact with you? And he said, oh, yes, I want that. That's what I want. He wasn't, in his mind, he was not giving permission to destroy his life and make him nuts. Which he's not nuts, it's all real. But in their world, because you have to remember, none of these things Our ways are not theirs. Doesn't matter if it's a Bigfoot, doesn't matter if it's a dimensional, an elemental, a dogman, some strange thing coming out of a portal. Our ways are not theirs. We say things, and what we say is different than what they say as far as meaning goes. So when this poor man, who's a good man, said, yes, I want to communicate with you. You have my permission, and you have, you can talk to me and you can do this. His life was sealed. He's gone to the doctors, I don't know how many times, because he's convinced that there's something wrong with them. There's nothing wrong with them. He wasn't a hypochondriac before. But now he's having problems because he is so stressed because he feels like they're watching him 24 hours a day and they won't leave him alone. He can't get away from them. And I've tried to talk to him and I've tried to get him. And I'm like, you have to not acknowledge them. You have got to stop. You get mad, and I'm chasing cats away at the same time. Sorry. And you get mad at them and you tell them to go away. You're acknowledging them when you're telling them to go away. When they contact you, shut it down. Be non-responsive. You don't talk. You don't acknowledge. And I'll tell you some other things that have worked well for myself as well as others when it comes to the ETs. They have a hard time tracking you in white noise. Okay? And I've had them come after me, and you turn music on. You want something maybe not very pleasant. You don't want anything like hard and dark because that draws negative stuff. But really upbeat, really loud. I know several people that use modern Christian music, but turn it up loud. They have a hard time finding you in the white noise. I don't know why. I can't explain it. I just know it works. And I've told a lot of people, if you get to the point where you can't ignore them and they aren't leaving you alone, put it on. It blocks the connection to you. And, I know it works with other ETs. To say 100% it will work with these, I can't do that. But I can tell you that the chances are good that it will help break that connection, because you don't want a connection. You don't want them in your head. Some people know how to block it. Some people don't. Some people that get down that do know how to block it are in the situation that even though they know how to block it, blocking isn't working with some of these. Whether it's because these people are afraid and they're doing it wrong, or who knows, it doesn't even matter. What matters is that people need to know that there is a way to help. There is hope. There is, knowledge is power. And the more we know about these things, the better off we all are. Okay, this is our planet. As far as I'm concerned, they can go back to wherever the hell they came from. But they're tormenting people and they're torturing people, and they get away with it because nobody really knows. And I'm not an authority on it. I'm just somebody that had experiences with them and know people that did and have helped people that have. Like I said, and I'll say it again, I'm not an expert. I will never claim to be that, but I know what I know because I've had to deal with it. I've watched these things. This is not the first rodeo with them. I have had to deal with people that have been attacked by these things for at least, I want to say 4 to 5 years. So this is not the first time I've heard of them and come across them. I've been gathering information on these as I've worked with people for the last 5 years.
I got a question for you from the other persons that I've talked to that have had anything to do with this situation. When you say they're from another world, you don't mean like another world out in space, in our dimensional space, right?
I personally believe they're off planet. They came from another planet. And
that's what somebody else tells me, but they said the planet they came from isn't in 4th dimensional space. They're from the 5th dimension.
Yeah, now that I would believe. They are definitely not from our dimension.
So they're invaders. They're invaders. They're
invaders. They, to say they're from 5th, it's very possible. They don't seem to be as intelligent as we originally thought. Okay. Their power is in mind control. Mm-hmm. That's it. And if we give them that power, and I'll be the first one to say, as terrifying as these things are to people, in the moment that it's happening, I give people credit for trying to find the mindset while it's going on to be stronger than them, because I can sit here and tell you what to do and how, how it might help you, but I'm not experiencing what they are. That's theirs. That's what's happening to them. And I don't diminish that in any way, shape, or form, because this is really awful. It is bad. And these things, their strength is in mind control. And we have to know that, one, they are not a Bigfoot. They are not, they're never going to be. I know people have said that they've taken possession of other people. Bigfoots don't take possession. They may do a lot of things. They may do a lot of crappy things. They may do a lot of good things. They don't take possession. Okay. And there's a big difference then. Many researchers will also admit that the Bigfoots will look through their eyes, or they'll let you look through the Bigfoot's eyes. That's not possession. Okay. Possession is when they get in you and they take you and they take over you and they have control over you. And they're in there. A lot of people know they're there. Not all, but a lot of them do. And they take possession. That isn't a Bigfoot. Bigfoots don't do that. Dogmans don't do that. Cryptids don't do that. ETs do that. Demonic things do that. I don't believe these are demonic. I think these are just a scavenger. They're an ET. They're from another planet. They come down here and they feed on the negativity. And right now, our world is at the worst negativity level it's been. But they've been here for a while. They didn't just show up. They've been here. And people have had problems with them. Like I said, I found out about them about 5 years ago. Now, prior to that, I'm not going to say they weren't here. I don't know, because I didn't have to deal with them then. But I've dealt with them, with people since then. And it's the same thing every time. And everything carries an energy signature. I don't care if it's a rock, a tree, one of your kids, or the dog. Everything has an energy footprint. And every case that I've been asked about to help on with these things has the same exact energy footprint. So if it walks like a duck and it looks like a duck, it's a damn duck. These are the same things that are attacking people, and they're getting more power because they're so terrifying. I saw that poor guy on that video. It broke my heart. He was terrified. He had every right to be terrified.
Yep.
These things are scary. I'm not trying to say they're not. They are terrifying. He had every reason to feel the way he did.
Speaking of these things, I know you looked into it. You used your abilities to look into the situation, and what happened is how you saw that there was the female Bigfoot there that helped them. Now, you told me that there were actually other Bigfoot there that were in cahoots with these damn scavengers. Now, what was your...
According to the female that I spoke with, there were 3 there. Okay. One was an adolescent who had been taken from his family, is what she said, and that he didn't want to be there, but he had been told that these things would kill his family. The other one was a rogue that was already not good and happened to team up with him, and he was angry because he had been a cast off, And then the other one, basically what he told me was he was alone, or what she told me about him was that he had been alone and wanted protection. From what, I don't know. She never told me. And at the time all this was going on, I'm sorry I didn't ask.
Yeah.
But these things mentally convinced him that he was safe with them. And so he did. Now that they're with them, they consider themselves slaves. They say they can't leave. She was there. She watched them. And she said that she made a distraction so that this gentleman could get away. She said, I told him to run. Now, whether is that who he heard tell him to get out of there and to run? I can't prove it, but my guess would be yes. She's the one that said to me that she had told him to run as fast as he could and not to look back. She said she told him just to run. Now, I have no reason not to believe her. I mean, she has nothing to gain by what she told me. But she said she was hiding back where they couldn't see her because she was so fearful of what was happening. But she said the rest of her clan had said that they were going to get out of there. The Bigfoot are at risk too. I mean, anything is at risk with these things. And they left. And she said she just felt too much compassion because she was afraid of what was going to happen to that man.
Yeah.
And apparently I don't know if she had seen him before or whatever, but she had a lot of empathy for him. And she was very concerned. That's why she was there. She didn't leave when the rest of the clan did. So is it possible that they're going to have a Bigfoot with them? It is entirely possible. They are not all good. Okay. They are not all good, but they are not all bad. And they are, again, a human hybrid. And with our people, you have good and you have bad. And it doesn't have to be because they're part human. You know, animals are the same way. You have dogs and cats. Some are good, some are bad. It is what it is. So I'm not going to ever say that maybe there wasn't one with them. But if they're using mind control on us, there's no reason to believe that they aren't using mind control on other things.
Yeah.
Now, we do know when it comes to any of the cryptids that they can use mind control. This is a paranormal ability that a lot of things have, but we need to understand that just because they can doesn't mean that they're guilty of this. Okay? It goes under the heading of just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Right.
And they have a lot of abilities that if they wanted to unleash those abilities on us, we'd already be all gone. I mean, really. And that isn't the case in this situation. I mean, I'm all for the bad Bigfoots taking the blame for what they're doing. I would be the first one to want to, stand up and say, hey, they got to be gone. But that isn't this case. People, I think when it first came out, the people that I spoke with, many of them said it was the Bigfoots. And I was the first to jump up and correct them and say, no, like I've been working on this stuff with some people on and off for 4 or 5 years. And I promise you, this is not coming from a Bigfoot. Bigfoots do not do what these things do. And a Bigfoot is not going to ask permission. I mean, they will ask permission for certain things. Don't get me wrong, the good ones will. But they're not going to ask permission to kill you. If a Bigfoot wants you dead, you're dead. There's no place on heaven's earth or anything that is going to stop it. They don't ask permission for that. I've had them ask me permission, if they could, come into the yard, or can they come, I've had like animal food outside. Can we take this? Or, yes, they will ask permission for things. The good ones will. The bad ones aren't going to ask your permission. It's not how it works. That's why they're bad, because they don't care if you want yes or no. And these things are bad, but there's something about them. I can't tell you. I wish I could, but I can't. But there is something about this particular group or fraction, whatever you want to call it, faction of ETs that they do. And I don't know if it's because their thing is more mental than physical. But they also are chicken shits. They didn't do what was done to that man. They had the Bigfoot do it.
Yeah. Well, maybe they can't physically do it. If they're from a different dimension, maybe they can't really manifest properly here. Which brings me to my next question. How the H did they get here to start with? And can they do it on their own, or do they need help to get here?
They need help. I would think, and again, I can only guess. Because I've not had that situation where they've asked if they could come here. I would imagine it'd be like anything else. They would have to have permission. But that's a guess. I'm not going to, because I have not had that experience. I'm not going to sit there and say, oh, this is the way it is. This is how it works. But I will say that they seem to need permission for everything.
We both know that there's some crazy people out there that like to summon things to Earth that shouldn't be here.
Yeah.
And occasionally screw up and let them loose on purpose and whatnot. And I'm just kind of wondering if that's where this started. If somebody summoned something they shouldn't have, couldn't control it, it got loose, and then started convincing more to come through.
Yeah, I can have my own opinions on it, but at the same time, I wasn't there.
Yeah.
I would never comment negatively on anything that I was not present for and knew, because I physically had that experience. But the thing is they seem to have permission from everything. And I've seen them go after people. And, we have the ability to get them to back off. First of all, everybody has energy. Okay. Everybody has what some people, myself included, call like the white light of Christ in you. Other people that are per se an atheist just believe it's the white light in them. Either way, it's still the same thing. You have a light in you and you have energy in you. You can work on, and a lot of people already know how to do this, but you can take that and focus mentally on that in your body to build it up and build it up and build it up till it fills up your entire body. And then you keep in your mind thinking about it and focusing on pushing that energy and light outside of your body as well. So it's like a big energy shield. And I know how crazy it sounds, but it works. If done correctly, it works. I can't tell you how many people how to do it. I've not had one person that I've taught come back to me and tell me it did not help them. So, I mean, you could push it out enough to envelop a whole room or whatever you want. I had a very, very wonderful friend of mine come to visit me, one that you know, and I've done that, and I've had energy bubbles over my property for as long as I can remember. She pulled in the yard, and the first thing she said when she got out of the car, and she didn't know I had done that. She didn't know that at all. She got out of the car, and she said, "Oh, my God." And I said, "What?" And she said, "This whole property is protected. Like, I drove in, and I could feel myself crossing that energy into this." And she said, "It feels so peaceful here." And I'm like, "Yeah, that's why the foot's like it, But it was a lot of work doing it. But anybody can, if I can do it, a trained ape can do it. Okay, if I can do it, trust me. If
it's
I can
possible, I could even do it, for God's sake.
Anybody. You don't have to be a special person. Like I said, if I can do it, anybody. The cat could do it if I can do it. But you can. We all have that in us. We just don't know that it's there to use. You can access it. I tell people all the time, if you're going to start practicing to do it and you feel like it's hard, lay down in a quiet room, close your eyes. And the reason I tell people to close their eyes is that your eyes are one of your senses. If your eyes are open, you're not completely focused because you're focused on what you're looking around at. So lay down where it's quiet, close your eyes, and just imagine it in your mind, this big ball of energy or light in your body getting bigger until it engulfs your entire body. And then keep pushing it out around you. You can take it out as far as you want. Our mind is a powerful thing. And I don't care if you're a highly intelligent person or dumb as a post, you still have the ability to do this. We've all been taught that we don't have abilities and it's a crock. We have God-given abilities in every single one of us. And you can do that. And it does help. It's a pure energy. And what happens is because it comes from inside you, it's a pure energy. Unless you're a very dark person and you're pushing dark energy, everybody that is, good, and most people have got that pure energy in them. You push it around and the good stuff can still get to you. But if it's ill-intended, if it's bad, it's like them leaning on a hot wire fence. So we do have things that we can do. In that moment, when these things are terrorizing you, it's got to be incredibly difficult to use the gifts that we have. I mean, really, because you're talking about being in a situation that is life and death. And I get that, but I just want people to know that you do have that ability. You can come through this because you have the power. We are, in this particular group, we are stronger than they are. This is mental warfare. It's not physical, it's mental.
Amen.
And these things are chicken shits. They're having other cryptids do their dirty work. And the only way they can get the other cryptids to do it is if they torture them, if they steal children.
Con them, terrorize them, torture them.
Yeah, or if they're using mental warfare on them as well. But these are not Bigfoots. These are not Dogmen. These are not cryptids. These are aliens. These are ETs that are on our planet that have no business here and need to get the hell off.
So do your part to get rid of the scavengers.
Oh,
Don't let them in the first place, and keep yourself protected from them.
Yep.
And it occurs to me that the deliverer on the show quite a bit before he passed, and he was in the deliverance ministries. He would throw over 3,000 exorcisms. Mm-hmm. And he said that the power of the true followers price when they're combined together. It doesn't just add, it multiplies. He actually gave me the breakdown on it, which I could remember it, but it's like one alone that's got the right intentions is pretty powerful. If you get two of them together, it's like 100 times more powerful.
Yeah.
If you get three of them together, it's 1,000 times powerful. If you have four of them together, it's 10,000 times, and it just keeps multiplying like that.
That are
he told me, he said, if you can get 7 true together and agree with each other, you can beat up on the principalities and the powers on this planet. We're that powerful when we combine.
We are. And there are many people, myself included, that actively are trying to eliminate these things. You know, I don't know that they can be killed as much as their powers and their abilities can be removed. But we can stop them. We can send their little happy asses right back where they came from. But we have to stand strong. We need to, you know, work together on it. We need to understand that these things are there. It's unfortunate. I'd love to say they're not, but the truth is they are. If it was just my word, I would say, you know, don't pay attention, whatever. I'm not the only one that knows this. There's several people that know this. There's many people. There's hundreds of people that know this. And we are all actively working together to try to protect each other. But people need to know that you are not helpless. You're not. Number one, these are not Bigfoot. Your Bigfoot are not, they're not going to be your buddies, okay? I mean, we have some that are very rare that we are close with. I have 3 of them that there is nothing in this world I would not do for them. And I work with Bigfoots all the time. You know, I'll do anything for them if they're good. But I'm also a realist. And the reality of it is they are not all your friends. They're not all going to be your friends. And with every good one there is, there's a bad one out there somewhere. So people have to get past this. They're all fun and love. It's the same thing I have said for, God, probably 30 years now. The good ones are a purer form of love than what we have any concept of. It's a much deeper love than what we humans understand. The bad ones are lethal. They are. I'm never going to tell people they're not. There's some areas you don't go in because it's not safe.
Yeah.
But what I am saying is what's going on with researchers right now with these things are not Bigfoots. Bigfoots don't take possession. Okay, Bigfoots are not going to do that. They're not going to ask you permission to kill you. If you're in a house and a Bigfoot's coming after you and it wants to harm you in any way, shape, or form, it's not going to stand outside your door and say, please give me permission to cross the threshold.
Now, how many stories have we heard about the bad Bigfoots ripping doors off cabins or coming through walls?
If they want your ass, there's nowhere you can go. If they're coming in, they're coming in. You can't stop them. It's not going to happen. And that's my point. I think when all of this happened and became more public, it's been happening for years. It's just been much quieter. But now it's happening more and more, and people are being more aware of it, and they're being more vocal. And I honestly, I give a lot of credit to that gentleman that came forward. That took a lot of courage. It took a lot of guts to go through what that poor man went through and go public with this. So I applaud him. I do. And I sympathize with him. And I'll say it like I've already said, he needs as much support from this community as he can possibly get because what he went through was real. It was terrifying. It was real. And I thank God that he made it out alive. Does that mean that these things will never bother him again? I can't tell him that because I don't know. But I do know this. This is mental warfare. You have to stay strong in your mind. And when you think, even if you think you're talking to the Bigfoot, you know, and they're asking permission, unless this is a group that you work with all the time and you know them and you know their energy signature, right now, it's not safe to give permission to anything. When you give permission, that's when everything happens. And, you know, I think he was a perfect example. They wanted him to give permission. And he was smart enough to say, I'm not giving you permission to hurt me. You know, as far as the situation with Tim, honestly, I did not know him. So I don't even know what his cause of death was listed. Do I believe that that particular group of ETs killed him? I do not. And the reason I say that is because these things, like I said, they're not overly intelligent. They're chicken shits. They hide behind everything else. And I'm not even going to, unless he gave them permission to do it, which I don't know because I didn't know him. But
yeah, I don't think Tim had any belief in the woo side of things whatsoever, so I'd seriously doubt that.
yeah, I never had a conversation with him, and not because of any reason or any animosity or anything like that. We just were never in a situation where I had any contact with him.
Right.
You know, so I certainly would never say anything against him because I don't know him. I think it's sad for his, the loss that his family suffered, obviously, and for him too. Nobody wants to have that happen. But I don't believe in my heart at this point in time, unless I see evidence otherwise, that they killed him. I think they took his death to try to terrify this man. And this is what they do. They will say and do whatever they have to mentally terrify you. And if they're going around saying this researcher is dead because of us, and we've already killed this one, and we've already killed that one, that heightens the fear.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time, anytime you have fear and any type of dark or gray energy or whatever, it's like a feeding frenzy for all kinds of stuff. These things included. And a lot of them are more just like, I call them bottom feeders. They come in when people are having a bad day or they're down or they're going through something rough in their life, that happens to everybody at some point in time. It does. And it attracts them like magnets, and they feed off that dark energy, and they just try to keep you feeling down, because it's like going to, a buffet. If they can keep you down, they just keep eating. In this case with these, I really feel like they're probably doing the same thing, but they've taken it to a new level. It's not like these little, I call them bottom feeders. I don't know what anybody else wants to call them, but what else do you call something that feeds on people's misery?
Right.
People go through bad things in life and bad times, and that's just part of life, unfortunately. And they take advantage of it, and they swoop in and they kind of feed off that bad energy until the person is able to pick themselves up, and then they go on about their business. These are a little bit different. These things aren't playing games.
Yeah.
They're scavengers, and they are set in their mind to play head games with you to keep you scared. And they'll do one of two things. They'll just either feed off that negative energy that they're creating, or if they, a situation happens where you've given them permission to kill you, then they'll feed off that.
That keeps it, not to digress you again, but it brings to mind that there's quite a plethora actually of energy entities out there that feed off negative energy. And there's even some physical ones that do it.
Yes. Yep. But there's good ones and bad ones. I mean, the good ones, if you're doing really well and you're happy and you've got all this great positive energy, there's good ones that'll come in and soak it up as well. I mean, but it's a good thing. It's not bad because they're not hurting anybody. They're just like, when the sun's out, you go out and stand out in the sun to feel the sun's rays. That's all they're doing. But when you have these negative ones and you've got all this dark energy, they come in and they just suck it down, and they suck it down, and it keeps you down. It keeps you immobile.
Here's the important point. Both sides encourage it. So if they're getting negative energy off you, they're going to encourage you to remain in that crappy, pain, miserable state, horrified, on the verge of wanting to commit suicide until you know.
Yeah.
And they'll just feed off that negative energy the whole time. And conversely, if you've got the positive energy ones around you, they'll want you to stay happy, be happier, generate more positive energy, make everyone happy. That's how it works.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much. So, I mean, I guess if there's going to be a message in all of it, it's you do have the ability to fight back. You're not alone. Other people have gone through it as well. If you know anybody that has gone through it, or other researchers that know about it, reach out to them. There's power in numbers, there's power in information, and it's there. You just have to ask for it. we need to band together against this stuff. This is all mental.
And like most all the other negative bottom feeder entities and physical beings, it's all about confusing and terrorizing people.
Oh yeah.
That's what feeds them energy.
Yep. And like I said, we have to band together with this, because it could happen to any of us. Nobody is immune to it. I don't care who you think you are. You're not immune to it. This is just one more thing that's out there. And while we all love dealing in the paranormal and we love dealing with our cryptids, and, God knows I love dealing with my clans and the dogmen that I deal with that are kind. I mean, that's all wonderful. But whether you're into this research or not, there is nobody on this planet that is not accessible to these things. It can happen to anybody. The only thing is that as researchers, we have a little bit of a leg up because we already know there's stuff out there. Now we need to know how to deal with it. And unfortunately, we have to deal with it. It's not going to get better anytime soon. They're here. They have no intention of leaving. They have now decided that this is where they're setting up shop. And the one gentleman, they told flat out, you're going to realize what fear is like you've never felt before. I've seen people that this has happened to. I've watched it. They're terrified. The one gentleman that this has been going on for so many years, he's to the point where he'd rather be dead than live with what he's going through. These things will not leave him alone. And every time I get him off of him, they start talking to him again, and they tell him he's their friend. They'll lie to you. They'll tell you there's something they're not. They'll tell you they're a Bigfoot. They'll tell you they're Santa Claus. They'll tell you whatever you think they think that you're going to want to hear. And they will tell you they are your best friend. They're going to save you. They're going to heal you. They're going to bring you prosperity and peace and everything else. And it's all a game. It's all a game. You can't listen to it. You just can't. For the researchers that work on a regular basis with their groups, when you're around them, close your eyes, feel their energy so you know what they feel like. So that when you come across something that you're unsure of, if it doesn't feel the same energy that you felt before, don't respond. Don't connect. Don't let it connect. Don't respond to it. We all think it's great to be able to mind speak. And even this happens to people that can't mind speak. It's not just because you're mind speaking. People that have never mind spoke before have gotten hold of me and said, out of the clear blue sky, these things have shown up, and now all of a sudden something's talking in my head. I didn't even know I could get anything talking in my head. So nobody's immune to it. Yeah. There's not a type that they're going after.
Even someone as incredibly insensitive as me, and I'm pretty non-empathic and pretty insensitive, I've actually been to Bigfoot a few times to be able to feel the energy from him. But to me, with my incredible insensitivity, it was like standing next to a huge generator transformer or something. You could literally feel the energy coming off of them.
Yeah. But the thing is I think when people actually get mind speak, and this is not having to do with the gentleman in Florida, but when they actually get mind speak, they're so excited. And I get that. Trust me. I've been mind speaking since I was little. And I get it. It's awesome. I mean, I can do it with the animals. I can do it with the plants. I can do it with the cryptids, whatever, the ETs. And it's fantastic. But in the excitement of being able to do that, we have to understand that not everything's good. I mean, I teach people to mind speak. I have. And I still continue to do so. But when I do it, I teach people that when you're mind speaking with anything, you also have to be looking for that energy, feel that energy. Don't just get so excited at the mind speak that you're not paying attention to the rest of it, because feeling that energy and learning that energy is what's going to protect you. Good things are going to come in, and that's wonderful to talk to. But if the good can come in, the bad can come in, and they're going to lie to you. That's why they're bad. They're going to tell you they're whatever they think you want to hear. And then you get close with them and they tell you everything is great. They give you everything you want. The words are there. I'll heal you. I'll help you. I'll be your friend. You're I heard this a million times. You're the chosen one. Okay. It's a crap.
The chosen hosen. Yeah,
Yeah.
we've heard of the
And I'm not
chosen
saying
hosen over
there
and
aren't
over
good
again.
things. Yeah. I'm not saying there's not good things out there that have said that. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is the bad things will come in and mimic it.
Mhm.
And when they mimic it, they can get to you and they can attach to you.
Well, they'll tell you whatever lie they think you're going to swallow, basically.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, it's ridiculous. It really is. And so, you can gather your strength many ways. You can pray, you can have somebody that you're close with help, give you strength. Take your shoes off. Walk outside. Our earth is an energy ball. It's a battery that will never go down, no matter how much we destroy it. Go out there, barefooted, stand on the ground, and just pull energy from the ground. You have to be mentally strong. This isn't a physical warfare battle. It's all mental.
Yeah.
But I think just being aware of it is the best thing you can do.
Now, I'd like to give an example of what your mission thing. One of my friends that you've been in contact with recently actually told me that at a certain time she had been contacted by the alpha of the troop that she interacts with, and he tried to mind speak with her, and she said, "Don't do that. I don't like it." And he went, "Okay," and that was it. He never tried again.
Yeah. I mean, really, it is. And, I'm not going to say not to mind speak because I do it every day. But what I am saying is if you're going to mind speak, be smart. As you're mind speaking, pick up the energy. Don't just take for granted what they say is true. If it's not one that you're familiar with, if it's one of your regular guys, my goodness, of course you're going to trust them. But make sure you know what their energy feels like, and that when they're telling you to trust them, that energy matches up.
Right. Well, we
It's like,
know somebody else that was contacted, the alpha and the troop that he'd been interacting with for several years, tried to mind speak with him, and it was like it didn't work. The mind speak was so loud or powerful that it actually gave him a freaking migraine as soon as he tried to mind speak to him, and he just couldn't handle it. And then it turned out after a few more months, one of the junior females in the troop tried to mind speak with him, and that one he could actually talk to without feeling like his head was going to explode.
you can
So
ask
this
them
is
to
the
pull
one in the troop that he actually talks to.
what it is. There's so much energy with them. You can ask them, and I've had to do this, and so's my husband. Ask them to pull back the energy a little bit. You're overwhelming. Like, you've got to pull it back if you want to talk to me. And 9 out of 10 times, the good ones will.
It's like they're yelling. They don't realize it.
Yeah. And, perfect example. My husband mind speaks. He's probably one of the best mind speakers I've worked with. I mean, he's phenomenal at it. He's got some fantastic abilities. And we verify everything that's said to either one of us because you have to be careful. And if we are getting two different things from the same being, we're done. We're not talking anymore. They're blocked. They're gone. Goodbye, because it's not what we think it is. If we get the same thing and the energy feels right, then it's okay to proceed. And we have one that we are exceptionally close to. He's been close to me for, oh my God, I can't even tell you how many years. Saved my life multiple times. He's just the best.
Nice.
And Pat was talking one day. Him and I were talking, and this particular Bigfoot started mind speaking with him. And he said, well, he just said such and such and such. And I said, oh, okay. He says, yeah, but you know what? It doesn't feel like him. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, you ask him and see what you get. And I asked for him. I called out to him, and he's like, I'm not talking to him. So we knew that it was something trying to play. And that happens a lot more than people realize. But the point is, my husband knows how to read that energy. And what he had actually said wasn't anything bad. It wasn't that the words that he had spoken were anything to be concerned about. It was, he claimed he was such and such, and the energy didn't match with that. And my husband's like, you ask him, because I'm telling you, this doesn't feel like him. And it's like, okay, you're busted, which means you're gone.
Done. Yeah. So in the little bit of time we got left here, is there anything else that you wanted to touch on that you thought might be important and pertain to this people should know?
I just want people to know that things have a way of shape shifting. They have a way of messing with your head to make you think there's something else. Not that that happens all the time, but it can happen. And I think because we get out in the woods and we connect with the Bigfoot and we connect with the Dogman, and in my case, I have lizardmen here too, and other things, and God knows how many things are out there. We always think we're safe, and we are not as safe as we think. These are all beings that have more abilities than, it's not that we don't have as many abilities, we don't know we can access them. And these things are not as strong as they make people think. They're bullies, they're chicken shits, and they play head games. People need to understand that as terrifying as they are, and I'm not disqualifying that at all, we have the ability to stand up to them.
Right on. Another question, quick question. I'm sure you'd probably like to put in your 2 cents worth on this one anyway. Dogman, ravenous monster, killing humans right and left, spilling blood on the ground,
Yeah, well,
generally making a mess and being horrifying and terrifying and 100% negative. I don't really think that added.
no.
So what's your take on Dogman? Dogman is not 100% monster running around looking for humans to kill.
No. Now you go over to Land Between the Lakes, and those things are just pure evil.
Yeah.
Okay, I've talked to a couple of them over there. They are evil with a capital E. You couldn't pay me money to go over there. Why would you put yourself in that situation? It cracks me up when I see these researchers go over there. Well, we're going to get, this way we'll have contact. Do you want positive contact or negative contact?
Yeah.
I'm a person that if I'm going to have contact, I want it to be positive. Why?
Hey, this is where the cannibal giants live. Let's get airdropped in there and go make contact with them. Yeah.
They do. They want to go out there and provoke them. I had somebody that came to my house one time, and I didn't let very many people come to my house because at that time, the Bigfoots were so active. They walked around uncloaked all over the place all the time. And I was like, nobody's coming here. But this was a very dear friend of a friend, and I let him come. He had been there 2 or 3 times and was well behaved. He came out and he gets out of the car and he has this big stuffed Sasquatch, and he puts it on his shoulder, and he's like going out in the woods. And as soon as it came out of the car and he put it on his shoulder, the Bigfoots are screaming in my head. And I said, "What are you doing?" Well, I figure I'm going to make them mad enough where they're going to come out so they'll show themselves. And I said, "And you can get back in the car and you can now leave."
Yeah.
We allow positive contact. I'm not encouraging negative. It's not going to happen. And a lot of people do. Now with the Dogmen, there are good and there are bad. Number one, we have government manufactured Dogmen that were
Those are the bad ones.
They were created to kill. That's what they were made for. They're not even a real Dogman. They are created by the government. They are taught to kill. They are programmed to kill. The government can't even control the damn things. Okay, those are really bad. And again, everything you have, there's good and there's bad. It's just the way the cosmic balance works. Are there bad real Dogmen out there? Of course there are. They're not all nice, but at the same time, there's a lot of good ones. Now, the Dogmen are not always going to be as up and friendly as the Bigfoots. Now, I know some people that have them around them, and they are. I have a youngster that's out here by me. He let me get a picture of him. He's up in a tree. I showed it to you. Put it on your show.
Yeah.
And he's as friendly as can be. I have one that goes and sits towards the end of my driveway, across from my driveway, and he says he's there to keep guard. And he's always been kind. I've not had bad experiences with Dogmen. I've talked to several. My husband has talked to several. He had one that before we were together, used to come up outside his window at his house. She was sweet as can be. But I'm also, again, I'm a realist. There is good and bad in everything. Are they out there and they're pure evil and they're hunting to kill everybody? Absolutely not. They're, a lot of them are more stoic than per se the Bigfoot. They just want to live their lives. And they pretty much guard the woods.
That's what I heard from a couple other people that are in the know on this. They think they're just the policemen of the woods, basically.
I have somebody very, very close to me that I just think the world of her. She's a wonderful, wonderful human being and one of my dearest friends. And she helped me a lot in the beginning, and she still does. And she told me about the dog, or when I asked her about the Dogman, and she said, they're the police of the forest. That's what they do. You know, everybody runs when the police come because nobody knows who's in trouble. And my Bigfoot used to do the same thing, but at the same time, I have a picture, and I don't know if this is a cross between a Bigfoot and a Dogman or what. I don't know. Her name is Trudy. That's what I called her. And she's standing with a group of Bigfoot. You know, so I mean, they will intermingle. The one that was by my husband Pat, she was running with the Bigfoot. You know, so they're not all afraid of them, but they are. They keep an eye on things. You know, they're kind of like the police of the woods, and I think that terminology really says it all of it, because that's how it works. That doesn't mean there's not bad ones out there, but you can't turn around and say the whole species are bad. That's like saying all humans on this planet are evil.
Nah.
We have rapists, we have pedophiles, we have all these horrible, horrible individuals that treat people like dirt. But you know what? We've also got a lot of really wonderful, beautiful souls on this earth that would give the shirt off their back to help anybody and are just absolutely incredible. And I feel very blessed to know a lot of them. But that doesn't mean that I think that every human being out there is good.
No.
You know, and it's the same way with them. We really and truly cannot just take out an entire group because there's some that are bad. And like I said, the government's got a ton of them running around that they've created that were made to kill, and they were engineered by the government. Now, that doesn't mean that some of the real dogmen aren't nasty at times either. But you also have to take into consideration, what is the circumstance that you're meeting them?
Yeah.
Are you close to their children? Are you interfering with hunting? Are you a threat to their family? If you're in your living room and somebody throws open a door and walks in, you're going to defend your place. Doesn't mean you're a bad person. You could be a saint. You could be a priest. But if somebody comes in and your family's there and they kick in your door and they come in your house, they are now a threat to you and they are the enemy.
Or if they're coming through every day, if they're opening the back door on your house, parading through your house, opening the front door, and then leaving again, how many days are you going to put up with this before you decide to follow them back to their house and beat on their wall and say, knock it off?
That's my whole point. When you go out of your house, and I don't care if it's even in your yard, you are now in their world. And if you walk into a situation, even though it's unintentional, but they might have their children there or their families there, you know, or the pack there, whatever, you've now walked into a situation where you're a physical threat to them. They're going to defend themselves. They're going to take care of it, and they're going to deal with you. Just like if they came into your house, you're going to deal with them, you know. But we go out and we have all these researchers, and I get it. I love going out in the woods too. But you have certain researchers that push it. And if you really pay attention, and I've noticed this with both the Dogman and the Bigfoot, they will give you subtle signs that you're getting too close.
Yeah. Like everything goes deadly silent. The air is still. You start feeling the creepy vibe coming from a certain direction. These are all warning signs you're about to piss somebody off really bad. And maybe you should reconsider what you're about to do.
Well, exactly. And, you know, I have people that hold me all the time, and they're like, oh, I was attacked by a Bigfoot. And I said, okay, what happened? They threw a rock at me. And I'm like, okay, what happened? No, that's what they did. They threw a rock at me. And I'm like, that's not being attacked by a Bigfoot. That's them being subtle and saying, you're too close. You need to back off.
Yeah.
I said, did they chase you? Did they come after you? No, after that, I took off out of there. And I'm like, did they come after you? No. Then you weren't attacked. It's not any different than you. If you see somebody passing on your property, you say, hey, get out of here. You're not attacking someone. You're letting them know that they're in an area you don't want them.
Yeah, they're trespassing. And that's what a lot of people forget, too. You know, I've heard this a zillion times. I'm sure you've heard it a zillion times. Wes has heard it a zillion times. Lots of people have heard this, and people hear these encounter stories over and over again. And the people are so terrified. And, you know, because what the hell's going on? And some, you know, weird thing just happened to them. And they got a log thrown at them, or they got rocks thrown at them, or they got screamed at, or the bushes were shaking and they were hearing roars coming from it.
Trying to
Look,
warn you.
if they wanted to kill you, you would be dead. They're
Yep.
trying to give you a hint that you're pissing them off and you should.
Well, it always makes me laugh because I'm like, you don't want them to attack you. So they're giving you all the warning signs to let you know, hey, we're here. We're here. You've gotten too close. You may not have done it intentionally, but we're here and we really need you to back off. And they're
Yeah.
doing it in a manner not to hurt you. And then people are like, oh no, they're trying to kill us. No, you would be gone. There's no place in God's green earth you can hide if they want you dead.
Yeah.
And
There is
it's
no
like,
trying to kill you with a Bigfoot. Either
No.
the Bigfoot kills you or they don't kill you. There's no
Exactly.
trying involved. Yoda
Yep.
will tell you this.
yeah, the other thing is that I get people that say, well, they threw a rock at me. And I'm like, did they hit you? No, they didn't hit me. Okay, they don't miss when they want to hit you.
Yeah.
They're that accurate. My son one time, and I think I talked to you about this on the show before, he was outside, he was practicing bow hunting, and I told him, I said, you are not to shoot the arrows towards the woods. You can go parallel with the woods, but nothing is to go in the woods because the Foots are out there, they have children, and they're going to see it as a threat. No problem, Mom. So him and his brother are out there, and they were target shooting the bow, and they were going parallel. Well, they got laughing and joking around, and he was being goofy, and he shot it, and it went into the woods.
Uh-oh.
So he trots over to go get it. And right as he bends down to pick up the arrow, here comes this log. And it didn't hit him. It came close, but it didn't hit him. It stopped like about 3 or 4 feet from him, scared the tar out of him. He come running in the house. Mom, your Bigfoot just tried to hurt me. And I said, what did you do? And he said, what do you mean, what did I do? Mom, they tried to hurt me. I said, oh, no, I know this group. What did you do?
Yeah.
And I said, did it go in the woods? Well, it didn't go that far in the woods. I don't care. Did it go in the woods? Well, it did. And they threw a log at me. They tried to hurt me. I said, no, they didn't. They tried to warn you that what you were doing was not okay. If they wanted to hurt you, would have been hit with that log. You would not have been able to walk away from it, or you'd have been hurt.
And that's another thing too. They ramp up the warning as they go along. One of our mutual friends that came and visited you experienced this here in Idaho, where she was in an area that she probably shouldn't have been. There was a bunch of younger ones around, and they kept giving her hints over and over that she wasn't paying attention to. And they finally threw a small-sized log and hit her in the shoulder and dislocated her. At which point she got the ant and decided to leave. But again, with the accuracy they've got, they could have just killed her if they had wanted to.
Well, they could have. And the thing of it is if you really pay attention to what's going on around you, 9 out of 10 times there are warnings.
Mm-hmm.
If you choose to ignore the warnings, then you're choosing to ignore them, but that's not their fault. They're giving you the warnings. Now, and I'm talking about the good ones. I'm not talking about
the bad ones. They're not going to give you a warning, and you're not going to be around to complain about it.
They're just all over. They really are.
If they're trying to sneak up on your camp and get you, you're not going to hear them.
No.
So how are you going to?
So if you're getting these warnings and you're getting a rock thrown at you that's not hitting you, they're being kind. They're telling you the only way they can to leave. They have a language, plus they can speak ours, but it's very guttural. It's very deep, and it's very difficult for a lot of people to understand. There's people that can speak it fluently. That's not an issue. But for the regular person every day, they may not understand what they're saying. And they also a lot of times they don't want you to hear their voices, because if they hear the voices, then you know where to go after them. They are absolute pros at trying to protect themselves. That's why they will throw a rock. That's why they'll throw a stick. That's why they'll shake a bush. That way you don't know exactly where they are.
And then you got Glag as an example of actually learned some human words and knows what they mean. And we've heard a couple of reports of hunters fleeing the woods with something gigantic yelling, "Fuck you," from the woods.
Well, they can all speak. They have language. They have their own language. They have our language. They have an alphabet. They're capable of all these things. They truly are a people.
Mm-hmm.
And I know the people that out there that, prefer to think of them as an animal don't want to hear it, but it's the God's honest truth. I mean, I can't change it. Trust me.
As far as that goes, humans are animals too. Go look at the way we're zoologically and taxonomically denominated.
Exactly.
We're not plants, we're animals.
Exactly.
So, all right, dear. Well, thanks so much for coming on the show again. I think we covered Enough on this topic. Hopefully we got pretty much of the information that people need to know out there.
Like I said, I'm not an expert, not going to claim to be, but I do know what I've experienced. I know what other people have experienced that I've worked with. The only thing we can do when it comes to these things is try to get the knowledge out to people of what has worked in the past, what still seems to be working in the past, let them know what they are. It has nothing to do with trying to grandstand. It doesn't have anything to do with being an expert. It just has to do with this is what's happened. And these are the experiences I've had. These are the experiences other people I've worked with have had. I've been doing, working with these people on and off for 4 or 5 years. Things are now pronounced more so than they were before. So it's time for everybody to, get together and understand you are not completely powerless. This is mind control. This is not a physical warfare. This is mind control. And you can stand up against them. Choose your words carefully before you give anything permission. If you don't know how to read that energy, if you don't know how to decipher what is what, because it's through mind speak. I don't care if it's even physically in front of you. If it comes to you and it looks like it's a kangaroo, but it's talking to you like it's a demon, it's a demon.
Yeah.
Get a feel for it. And if you feel like anything is off, don't let the excitement of having contact with something that most people don't get a chance to, don't let that excitement overrun your sensibilities of this is still bad.
Yeah. Right on. And don't forget, strength in numbers and unity. Don't go it alone. If you're having problems with something like this, contact someone, get some help.
There's more and more people are finding out exactly